The Pro Show is brought to you by Rockin' Media and our proprietary Flash HDR photo process, providing you with the best, most realistic photos of your property. See the difference at rockinmedia.com. Hi, I'm Rick Mackley, and welcome to the Pro Show. Another awesome show today. Have you wondered what a listing agent does and what services they provide? We're going to get into that today. In addition, we are going to talk about how to best stage your primary bedroom. We have a couple of great homes for sale for you to see. In addition, Greg's going to be talking about rental properties and Nancy's talking about mortgages. That's all next on the Pro Show. And today we are joined by two amazing agents, Lisa Keener and Camelia Corey. Lisa's out of the Global Luxury office, and Camelia's out of Colorado Springs. These are both Coldwell Banker agents. Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I live in Evergreen, Colorado. I've lived here almost 20 years. I originally started with Coldwell Banker down in Denver Lakewood office, and now, like you said, I'm out of the Cherry Creek Global Luxury office. Love working there. I've been a realtor for about 10 years now, and I've been a Global Luxury realtor for about 8 of those 10 years.
Well, that's awesome. And Camelia, how are things going down in Colorado Springs?
They're going great. It's amazing. We've have 30 days left in 2024. So it's interesting to see the market pick up a little bit more than usual. I'm not sure why, but things are going great down here, Rick.
Well, that's great. I appreciate both of you joining me today. Let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing in the marketplace, and we'll start with Camelia. What are you seeing down there in Colorado Springs?
Well, the majority of the homes that are selling right now that have shortest days on market are in that 300 to 800 price range. And we definitely are seeing, I think, on average, 50 days on market down here. Interestingly enough, there are still homes that have bidding wars on them. So you get that anomaly home. You got, multiple offers. It's an interesting scenario, knowing that we have more homes on the market than we have buyers, to actually have that happening. So we probably have 3 times the homes that we have than we have the buyers. Our builders are still leading the charge with great interest rates. So we're seeing a lot of consumers go the new construction route just to get those lower interest rates. We're also seeing sellers being willing to give concessions to buy down interest rates right now. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. Definitely longer days on market in the luxury market. And
down in the Springs, your average price point's a little bit lower than the metro, isn't it? Metro area?
Right. We're sitting around 515.
Okay. And I think we're in the 650 now. Colorado Springs is a great place to find a property for sale, because you can get more for your money down in that area generally. And you're saying the luxury market isn't quite is a little softer down there right now?
Yes, you can get amazing properties down here. Definitely more bang for your buck. Your money goes a long way. That northern end, Monument, this is the north end of El Paso County, just some great properties. But we're seeing, yes, in our luxury market, definitely longer days on market, significant price reductions. Yep, if you're a buyer, come to the Colorado Springs market. We'd love to help you. That luxury market is really saturated with some really great homes. We're also seeing, Rick, right now, a lot of sellers have taken their homes off the market for the holidays, and we'll see those hit the market back again, probably end of January, 1st of February. But a lot of them are taking a break. We're going to get more snow, and it's just not the time of year to have people traipsing through your home. So we're seeing that significantly.
They want to put up their holiday decorations and not worry about snow coming through the house. But if memory serves me, even your luxury properties are a better value down there as well, right? The price point's a little bit lower. You can get more bang for your buck, the price per square foot.
That is correct.
Cool. Well, Lisa, what are you seeing in the Foothills these days? Because you're mainly in Evergreen, Conifer, Bailey, Pine area. What are you seeing?
Spring, summer, things were moving. Things were moving pretty quickly, actually. coming out of last fall, and things were sitting forever since interest rate was higher. But then once we hit the end of summer, going into end of summer, it sort of came to a screeching halt. And I noticed the same thing down in across Denver Metro. I had some listings in Littleton and Parker, and they were not moving. We were getting showings, but nobody was really ready to pull the trigger until we got later on in the fall, and the interest rate came down a little bit. And then I had multiple offers on those listings that were sitting for a while. So that was great news. But now I have a listing in Evergreen, in Central Evergreen, and has a lot of beautiful updates, brand new bathrooms and new roof, all sorts of new updates, and good showings. We're getting showings, but again, no one is pulling the trigger. No negative feedback. Everyone says that the price is great. Not really sure what's holding them back. Average days on market in Evergreen is right around 30 days, 30 to 40 days in that price range, and the price is $1,275,000. We've been on the market about 3 weeks now. So going to be chatting with the seller to see if we're going to do a price adjustment here soon. She's ready to buy. She is going to be downsizing, and she's ready to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And she's thinking about maybe going ahead and buying and moving out of the home.
Okay.
She has some pets, and that's the one negative feedback that we've gotten. She has two Mancoon cats, and people say that they're allergic and they love the house, but sorry.
Yeah.
And so thinking about making that change and taking away that obstacle. But I have other listings in Pine and in Conifer where they were going to list this fall, that they, looking at the trend and things slowing down, they got nervous. And so now everyone's waiting until the spring. Goes for my buyers too.
Yeah.
My buyers are just sitting on the fence. I can't explain to them that now is a great time to buy, even though the interest rate is a little higher. They wouldn't be caught in a bidding war. But they are sitting on the fence and they're waiting until next year.
Yeah, well, we're kind of back into the normal market, especially in the foothills, where things really pop starting about May and they go till about August, which is normal for the season. But in the foothills, that I've seen since I've been up here, when we bought our house, it went on the market in October and we bought it in May, and it didn't have, but that was, 20 years ago, which is more of a normal market for what we're seeing but it's great for buyers because they have so much selection.
What we're seeing in the market right now are buyers and sellers that have to buy and sell, not just want to. I see that kind of as a category for all of the clients that I currently have. And what's interesting, and for anybody who's watching this, if you're a buyer and you don't necessarily want to buy, you don't have to buy, but I'm going to push you over and say, even if you just want to buy, you're getting the best deals right now as buyers. The contracts we have written and gotten accepted, in my opinion, are just like unheard of in my entire career of real estate. So we're seeing price reductions, 200, 300,000 off in the luxury market. I saw a house just the other day. They dropped it $50,000, which, it was priced at market. No one's buying it. $50,000 drops. So right now, if I were at all in the consideration of wanting to buy a house, I would be doing it. From the seller side, unless you have to sell, I don't think I would right now. Plenty of inventory out there for the buyers, though.
Yeah. So, but be aggressive if you're a buyer and make the offers.
Yep.
I mean, the worst that can happen is they can say no, or they can counter, and then you've got something to talk about at that point. So that's great. We'll talk a little bit about what we're seeing hopefully in November with November stats coming up next week. So stay tuned for that. Showing your property at its best online is one of the first of many important steps to getting your home sold. At Rockin' Media, we provide you with the best quality photos taken by staff photographers, not contractors, who process your photos individually. We use our proprietary Flash HDR process, which combines the natural look of HDR with the color accuracy of Flash, along with properly exposed windows. Rockin' Media's HDR process is clearly exceptional. Find out more and schedule online at rockinmedia.com. When you go to list your home, you need a listing agent. And there's lots of services that different agents have. There's basic services that almost everybody does. Well, they have to, or you can't get your home listed. And then there's other services that a agent who's a high quality professional agent will do. So we're going to talk a little bit about both of those so that you have an idea of what to expect and maybe even what to ask when you're interviewing an agent as to whether they are doing those services or not. So Camelia, give us one or two examples of some of the basic things that every agent does. So
basic listing agents going to hopefully review your listing contract with you. And instruct you on, what their services entail, fiduciary responsibilities, guiding you down kind of the path of understanding how to negotiate offers. Some of the elective services that would be like your ancillary businesses, like your lender and title companies and inspectors and stagers and things like that. So there's a lot of guidance that's kind of spelled out in that listing contract. But the services, first of all, walking through your home and helping you understand what you need to do to get it ready from the outside to the inside, ready for the market. Number two, bring a stager in for a staging consultation. We like to offer the service of a pre-home inspection before your home ever hits the market. Whole conversation around that. And then all the other inspections that would be specific to getting your home on the market. And then, of course, photography and the marketing of the property, once the home is ready. We talk about the 5 pillars all the time: timing, pricing, prepping, staging, and marketing. So all that I do, the services that I bring to the table all fall under those 5 pillars.
And Lisa, obviously, are there others that you would say that a normal listing agent would do, both on the front end and maybe, walking through negotiations, things like that?
Yeah. One of the things that I would add to what Camelia just mentioned is living in the mountains. One of the things that I talk about when I have a mountain listing, I'm a mountain specialist, is the well and septic. A lot of the homes up here have well and septics, and a lot of the times, the septic companies can be backlogged with how long it takes for them to get to your home and take care of getting the septic system taken care of within the time frame of the contract once the seller goes under contract. So I usually have the sellers contact a local septic company and begin the process of taking care of those items. And maybe even the well, usually that falls on the buyer's end, but if they want to make sure that their well is good, and we have runoff in the spring, and a lot of times I'm listing in the spring, and the runoff can throw the numbers off and make the well fail. So then it looks worse than what it is. And so I usually advise the sellers to go ahead and have the well tested and the potability, and just have all of those numbers and documents ready for when we do hit the market.
And
in addition to everything that Camelia just mentioned.
And then a normal listing agent any listing agent should walk you through offers, correct?
Yes. Listing agent, once you chat with your sellers, and a lot of times sellers want to wait till after the end of the weekend before you review offers with them. And a lot of them want to review the offers as they come in. So it's up to the sellers and how they'd like to handle that. But yeah, as the offers come in, I usually ask the sellers, do you want me to come over? Do you want to do it on FaceTime? How do you want to review the offers? And we just go from there.
And then, Camelia, obviously, once you get the offers, you need to coach them through the whole rest of the process, right, of getting closed.
Absolutely, yeah. Negotiating the highest and best on the offer that you want to accept. That can be a week or two. That whole negotiation period can take a long time. It can take, a matter of just an hour or two or a week or two. So it just depends on how complicated the deal is. But once you're under contract, oh yeah, absolutely. Then you've got the under contract process. From under contract to close, there's multiple steps. And as a listing agent, you're not just helping your seller navigate to the closing, and the majority of the details fall more on the buyer. The seller does have a few responsibilities, documents that they need to turn over, making sure that we, get mortgage information to the title company, making sure the home is ready for the buyers to do their inspection. There's things like that, but then also the transition from, okay, you're going to sell your house, you're going to be moving out in 30 days or whatever that date is, making sure that they're, on cue with being able to get moved out. Every once in a while you'll have sellers, it's closing day and they can't get out of that house. They did not prepare. They didn't have all their ducks in a row. And so just managing that, but also managing the buyer's agent. So not all buyer agents are prepared to, have a smooth transition to closing. So we check in on their lender and, make sure that they're, coming close to certain deadlines, just checking in, just making sure. So the listing agent has their hands full, definitely managing a lot of details so that we get to closing successfully.
So you're kind of a coach, because you're kind of looking at all aspects of the game and making sure that everything gets done, correct? I mean, and you're one of the players, so you're a player coach.
It's kind of like a project manager, actually.
Okay.
But yeah, a coach, project manager, counselor, there's a lot of things, a lot of hats to show up in that journey.
So, a big part of what a listing agent does is market your property. And, I think it may have been Camellia talking about photography, that sort of thing. But there is a difference, because some listing agents will still just take their own pictures. It doesn't happen as much as it used to, but there are still people that walk out with their iPhone and take pictures. So on a marketing side, Lisa, what are you doing that might be a little bit different than what just, taking your iPhone pictures or throwing it in the MLS?
I would never take my own pictures. First of all, I think that it's really important to hire a professional like yourself to take the professional photos. One of the things that I do, and I've already done it, as you all know, is listings that I have coming next spring. We've already done photos for those homes so that they are set in the best light for when I begin marketing them and taking them on the market next year. So the house isn't covered in snow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that the buyers can see the deck. They can see the yard. They can, all of those things. So that's one of the things that I do. Windows are important up here because a lot of the homes I sell have mountain views, and people that are moving to the mountains want to see those mountain views. And so it's important to have the windows cleaned. And so that's one of the things that I do in addition to regular marketing. And I don't know about Camellia, but I always talk to them about having their home deep cleaned and ready to go. And then as far as marketing goes, once I always try to do an open house or coming soon before I begin the open houses. And coming soon's always are a hit and miss because a lot of the sellers usually aren't ready. That's where the listing agent comes in, right? Trying to guide them and timing and trying to keep them on point on their plan when they wanted to go on the market. And then from there, using all of the marketing tools that Coldwell Banker offers us to get the home sold.
And even before we show up, Camellia, you're doing a lot of work getting the home ready, right? With prep and staging?
Yes, absolutely. The prepping piece is super important because when a buyer is buying a house, they are they're looking at details of the home. When your baseboards are scuffed and when you've tried to touch up your walls with paint and it looks like the wall has chicken pox, things like that. That can make or break what that offer looks like. And case in point, I had a client and they bought a house and every single wall was touched up with paint, and it was just dots everywhere. And so we got a $10,000 seller concession so that they could paint the whole house. And it's little things like that. So guiding the sellers through. I tell my clients, do not touch up paint. If you need to touch up paint, roll the entire wall. But every room and every circumstance, every home, every seller is different. So going in and guiding them through how to prep. One of my biggest pet peeves, everybody knows this, including you, Rick, you do all my photos and videos, are the light bulbs. I walk into a house and you've got a bright bulb, a warm bulb, and a daylight bulb, all in the same room on the same ceiling. And just that the continuity, you're trying to present the house in a very, just, you don't want any distractions. The job of an agent and a seller is to remove every distraction that is in the house to keep the buyer from, number one, writing the offer, but number two, writing a great offer. That is your goal, right? Write an offer and make it a good one. And so you're trying your best to coach your clients on all the distractions that you can see and, to remove those. So paint, light bulbs,
windows.
To Lisa's point, windows. We even go so far as to take the screens off of windows so that when you're standing at any window looking out, you have the clearest, most beautiful view.
That's a great idea. And, people think, well, it's the same bucket of paint that they used to paint the walls 5, 8, 12 years ago. But unfortunately, it's faded on the wall. And what's in the can hasn't faded. And so like you say, it looks like chicken pox. And Lisa, you're doing a bunch of staging as well before you go on the market?
I am. The listing that I have right now in Evergreen, the furniture and the things that she has in the home are already beautiful.
Yeah.
Go perfect with the home. So didn't really have to do a lot of staging there, just adding little pops of color here and there. But yeah, I have been staging all year. I have a new listing coming up out by the airport, and he's doing some work to the house. So we're going back and forth on the house being vacant, which I don't like, physically staging it, or we talked about virtual staging.
Right.
So we're still sort of trying to decide what we're going to do there, and haven't really come to that conclusion yet. But I think whether it's virtual staging or physically staging, I think it's really important for the buyer to stage the house so they can see it and see themselves living in it.
And what sort of marketing besides just the core throw it in the MLS are you doing, Camelia?
The MLS is just a baseline. That's just the bare minimum. Super important that if you're going to hire an agent, the consumer, whoever's watching this, listening to this, do not hire an agent that's just going to take pictures on their cell phone. It does not do your home justice. So, but the MLS is the starting point for whatever, you've prepped the home, you've staged it, you've taken great photography, you put it in the MLS. That syndicates out to other places. Coldwell Banker's website syndicates out to a whole lot of others. But we're also doing all the social media that we can. We're doing video shorts, longs, stills, announcements, open houses, sending out email blasts to the agents in the community, all the Coldwell Banker agents, the Elite 25, and some of the other key networking groups that we are in. What we do when you drive by our signs, the fact that you can have automatic brochures sent right to your phone by punching in a code. So we're really, and we send out mailers to the neighborhood, but really have a 360-degree approach to marketing our listings. So if it's your neighbor, if it's somebody who lives in your neighborhood, if it's an agent, if it's a consumer in your town, a consumer across the country, we're really trying to tap into all resources.
So if you do 360 degrees, throwing it in the MLS is like 1 degree, right? Maybe 5.
That's just the starting point.
What about you, Lisa? I know in the mountains there's a lot of times where you need to do aerial photos and other types of media to really show off a property. Are you doing some of those?
Have. And I think that, especially in the mountain community where people do have acreage and they have the mountain views and the acreage, I think it's really important to do the aerials along with the twilights so that you can show the different dimensions of the home with the regular photography that is done in conjunction with all the other. Really, I think brings the home 100%. I don't know, to portray to the potential buyer the feeling of what it's going to be like living in the mountains. Unless a home that I have listed in the city is on acreage or they have something similar to offer, I normally don't do the aerial drones, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you do this, Camellia, or not, but with our market that we have right now, I stagger how I put those things out on social media or out on the MLS. Just trying to keep the listing fresh, if that makes sense. Showing new sides of the listing, new views, that type of thing.
It's a good strategy.
Do you do that too, Camellia?
Yes, we do. We call it layered marketing.
Okay.
Because not everybody's watching on the same day at the same time. And so I think we have an 8-point campaign for all of our marketing. And so, we've got launch date and we keep our sellers updated on how we're doing our marketing, when it's going out. We have kind of a schedule for them, and every Friday we update them. But yes, different points. And this is why using all kinds of medians, super important, because you don't know where your buyer is going to come from. So you're reaching out to as many places at different times and then rotating it around until you can get it sold. And, there's no magic in that. It's just a strategy. And I think putting forth, your best foot forward, with a strategy that is the best strategy from the perspective of trying to sell a home, right? And getting as much exposure as possible. That's why we market. We're trying to expose the home to as many buyers as possible. If you're constantly, this is just a story in case in point, but I had a listing and we had it on the market for 3 months and we're getting ready to take it off. And I get a phone call from a consumer and they said, I've been watching this house for 3 months, ever since it came in. And we were watching the price reductions, and my husband just got, I think we did 2 price reductions. My husband just got word that his new job situation went through and we're moving, and this is the house we want to buy. And they called me directly because they'd seen my marketing. And you never know how long it's going to take for that right buyer who's looking at your home to be ready to come and buy it. And so that's why we're very persistent, and we play the long game in today's market. It's a long game for marketing. You don't just market it once and call it done. It's a continue until it's sold. You are continually marketing the home in a variety of ways.
So speaking as one who's worked for we'll call them discount brokers and discount agents versus full service agents, there are 2 things that I tend to see on the discount agents that you guys are doing that they're not. One is prep of the home, and the second is how they market it. Would you say those are the 2 biggest? Either one of you or both of you can take that one. Or are there others?
Cool.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that one?
Yeah, Lisa, go ahead.
Yeah.
I think that you're right. I think that if you're a discount brokerage, gosh, how do I word this? I think if you're not feeling really proud about what you're doing and how you're doing it, then you're not going to do it very well. Therefore, you take the listing, you take your own photos, you throw it on the MLS, you put it out there and you go, okay, here you go. Versus full service where we're prepping, we're looking at every single thing that is going to take that listing and put its best foot forward. And like Camelia said, we market it to the very end. To the very end, it's not something that we take and then we forget about it. A lot of listing agents seem to take, I guess, I don't know if they're newer agents, I'm not sure what's going on, but in the last year, I have been the second and third agent on homes that didn't sell. And the biggest complaint I've gotten is, I think they forgot about us. They didn't really do anything more with our home. They didn't really check in with us. There wasn't any communication. So I think that the prepping and the marketing and the communication through the entire process is so key in selling the seller's home and getting the most money for their home. That's why they hired you.
What do you think are the differentiators, Camelia?
If you're going to be a discount broker, you can't afford to do all the things that a full service broker does. And your sellers can't afford to not have you do all the services that you should be doing. And so you get what you pay for is true. And when it comes to real estate, and I think discount brokers are probably newer in the business. They don't understand really how much it costs to be in this business and to do everything that needs to be done. It costs money. Realtors are spending their own money day after day after day after day, and they do not get a paycheck until a house sells. And if you're a discount broker, you've not allotted funds to be able to do all the marketing and the things that need to be done. Time spent. We're over sometimes vacuuming houses. There's things that we're doing on behalf of sellers who are not in their homes anymore. The homes are vacant. We're almost like, we're not property managers, but we're overseeing this home for our sellers. There's a lot of work that goes into that, a lot of time that goes into that. So I honestly believe that you get what you pay for. And I've been in this business. I would never sell my house with a discount broker. I would never, not for my own self. I never sell my own houses, but I would not cheap it out because I know you get what you pay for 100% for certain, especially the whole staging, the prepping the home, staging the home, the great marketing. It's super key. And as a listing agent, what your seller is looking for is not only for you to do that, for you to tell them what you're going to do, but that you do it and that you show them that you did it. You report back, and just that full circle of communication. We have a rule on our team that every seller gets touched once a week, right? And every buyer gets touched once a week because you got contract dates and different things like that. So everybody's getting touched once a week with what's going on their transaction. So you got to be Johnny on it. And sometimes you get busy enough, you have to hire people to help. So yeah, I would agree with.
And if you have to hire them, you can't be doing that for 1%. There just isn't enough. And live. How do you live, and stay in the business? And I think what we're seeing now are a lot of people who came in when we had 30 minutes on market, and you literally could take one picture of the toilet maybe, and it might go under contract. And, because the market was so insane there for a couple of years, and everybody jumped in thinking that was the world. And you two have both been in it long enough that you've seen it, the other side of it. And this is, like I said, more of a normal market. Wouldn't you agree, Lisa?
I want to add something else to what we're discussing right now. I think when you go to a listing appointment, you're referred and you go and you do your presentation and, now you're going to discuss what you've brought to the seller, potential seller. And they straight out just point blank tell you, well, we know that we can get someone to sell our home for 1%, which happened to me for the first time earlier this year. I think that you need to be prepared. First, you need to know your worth and what you're bringing to the table. I think that's really important, key, as a good listing agent. And just tactfully explain to the seller, there are listing agents out there who can do that for you and know what they're going to get for that 1% versus what you're going to bring to the table and how hard you're going to work for them. In the end, I ended up getting the listing, and no, it wasn't for 1%. But in the end, they understood where I was coming from. And you do get what you pay for. And if you have a property that is over 4 acres and you have mountain views, and do you really want someone who is going to take your listing and use their own camera and throw it out there and then just forget about it? I don't think so. And I think as listing agents, we have to be prepared for that, especially now in the market that we're in, and be able to discuss it and what you're bringing to the table. And then in the end, I think that things will be okay. But like Camellia said, we're over there vacuuming, we're dusting, we're
shoveling.
shoveling, exactly.
Painting.
Yeah. And, what I often hear is, like Camellia said, you get what you pay for. And not only that, there's a reason Lisa's been the third agent, because it wasn't just the communications. It's because they weren't doing the job. They weren't actually marketing the property the way it should be, because it could be your seller at the time, and the homeowner was trying to lowball them, and people were willing to take the 1%, because right now they're getting 0% because they're not good agents. And that's me talking. That's not these ladies talking. That they'd never diss another agent, but that's just what I've observed over the years, is that people will take the 1% to get the deal, and then in this market it won't sell. And oh, by the way, in the market when it's really hot, you may not have gotten the best offer because you didn't market it well either. And so that's the thing to be cautious of. But it happens, and people go, well, I look at how much I can save on commission as opposed to look at how much I can net from the proceeds of that home. And I think that's important too. Any other special things that you guys are doing when you're listing a home?
There's lingo in real estate. And when we say prep a home, prep and stage,
yeah,
maybe some people don't know what that is more in, like the details behind it. But I think the prepping and going through the home, fine tooth combing, fixing anything that's broken, those projects that have been on your to-do list forever, just completing those. What I find is very interesting when a seller has prepped their home and it's ready for the market, that they say this one thing always, without a doubt: I wish I'd have done all this stuff sooner. I wish I'd have painted that wall. I wish I'd have fixed that, whatever. It's interesting, but going through the house and being very, and you get to know these houses really well when you're going through them with your sellers, and they always have those regrets. So for anybody who owns a house and you think you're going to sell in a year or two, start working on those projects now. And then from the staging side, really setting up, I don't care how people live in their house. How you live in your house is completely opposite how you sell a house. Super important for sellers to know that. The value of a realtor is not to come in and, wreak havoc in your home for no good reason. It's to rearrange your home, to help you pack up, put away, and position the things in your home so that it's aesthetically pleasing to a buyer, so that visually there are no interruptions in the flow of excitement. Nobody wants to see pictures of your children, your grandchildren, your dogs. They don't want to see dog dishes out. There's things like that are so key elements that agents bring to the table. Even on which wall your bed is on in the master primary bedroom, things like that, just how you enter rooms and how it feels. That's the value of an agent, what we bring. Those things it might just sound, oh yeah, staging a home, making it look pretty. It's more than just making it look pretty. It's bringing value from the, I call it the visual perspective of value. Just how it feels, how it visually looks will make you feel a certain way. So the perception of value should match the actual list price value that you're placing on the home, which should match the purchase price, right? So we're trying to bring all those things together. And that's why it's so important that you hire an agent who understands all those details, because I do believe in the psychology of selling. I think people buy and write offers for certain reasons. There's triggers and things like that. And so anyway, that's the value of the prepping and the staging of a home. So that's kind of my final piece on it.
You're a tenant and you just gave your notice and you want to find out how do you get your deposit back? Because you took care of the place, but the landlord isn't being helpful in getting you that deposit back. So we're here with Greg Batchelor from Real Property Management, and he's going to tell us how you protect yourself or how you get the money back. And it probably starts with the lease. So Greg, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely, Rick. It's good catching up again. So here's a scenario with security deposits in the state of Colorado. They are very heavily regulated. They are very much specified in terms of what's damage, i.e. something that can be collected from a tenant's security deposit, and i.e. what is general wear and tear on a property. In other words, Colorado law allows for general wear and tear on a property. It's naturally going to happen whether you're living in the property, renting a property, et cetera. So the biggest piece in terms of tenants protecting themselves is to take good pictures just as they're moving in. That's going to document the condition of the property. Then there's not as many questions on the back end in terms of, oh, you did this, oh, you did that, whatever the case may be. And then from there has to be a determination in terms of what's damaged. We call it the NCAA policy. And it's these four things. It's an acronym for negligence, carelessness, accidents, and abuse. So those four things, Colorado law specifies that's damage. And if there are damaged items that fit into one of those four categories, then that can appropriately be held from the security deposit. If they don't fit one of those four categories, then at that point in the ballgame, it's general wear and tear. Like periodically we'll have landlords that'll say, well, they've been there for 3 years and the carpet's more worn out. Let's keep money from the security deposit. Well, no, you can't. That's general wear and tear, just as if you were living there. And Colorado does not allow you to take monies from a security deposit that's in the general wear and tear category versus damage.
So if you punch the wall and put a hole in the wall, that isn't counting. But if you put a nail in the wall, and you take out the nail and you've been there, a year, obviously you've fulfilled your lease, then that would be normal wear and tear. Now I'm thinking outdoors. Say you're renting a house and you have a yard and you didn't take care of it. You didn't water it. Where does that fall?
Yeah, that falls into abuse.
Okay.
So that particular piece, if you have any, that can actually be right at the start of that NCAA piece that we have, which is negligence, which is you have to water trees in a yard or they're going to die. And so if you are either abusing the trees or neglecting the trees, however you want to call it, or the lawn, or you have refused to pull weeds or whatever the case may be, those are things in Colorado that would fit into one of those categories as damage to the property inside or outside.
And is your maximum liability then just that security deposit, or can the landlord go after you for other costs?
Yeah, the landlord can go after you above and beyond those costs. So most of the time we find throughout the year that the majority, with few exceptions, the security deposit will cover any damage that a tenant has done. Every once in a while, though, if tenant throws a massive party and there are holes in the wall, as you just mentioned, because there were fistfights or whatever the case was, then at that point in the ball game, sometimes the security deposit's not enough, and then the landlord can go seek other remedies from the tenants through collections or through small claims court or something like that.
And are these terms typically laid out in the lease, or is this just something that's kind of general as far as what will be covered and what won't be covered in the deposit for that security deposit?
It's a great question. So the premise of that is all laid out in Colorado law, i.e. the negligence, carelessness, accident, abuse. That is all specified in terms of what is and what is not security deposit damage. And then the time frame on security deposits. So if the lease does not specify a term with which the security deposit has to be returned, then it has to be returned in 30 days. If it is specified, you can get up to 60 days in the state of Colorado. And then everything else then highly recommended that it be just outlined in the lease. Like for instance, our lease specifies that the tenant is supposed to maintain the yard, water the yard, weed the yard, snow shovel in the wintertime, those kinds of things.
Well, it's sounded like an easy question, but there's a lot of intricacies and details, and it's probably facts and circumstances. But
Absolutely the case.
I think the best tip you gave was take a lot of pictures when you move in, and that way you can prove that
Document
no,
everything.
that hole was in the wall when you moved in. So
That is correct.
if you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to Greg at the number here on the screen. And as always, we appreciate you being on the program. Thanks, Greg. Last week, we talked a little bit about staging a primary bathroom. We're going to move into the house just a little bit and talk about staging a primary bedroom. And tell me about some of the things you either take out or leave in when you're staging a primary bedroom. And this is assuming that the home already has existing furniture in it. Lisa, why don't you start?
Yeah, of course. Well, like Camelia said, I always advise the sellers to take down their personal photos of their children, grandchildren. It's important for the buyer to be able to visualize themselves and their family living in the home. So that's one of the things that I usually advise for the seller to take down. Sometimes you have to move the bed. Sometimes you have to get different bedding in the primary bedroom. Maybe add some dimension to the bed. I don't know, furry pillows, fur is a big thing right now.
12 pillows. 12 pillows.
12 pillows. Throws. If it's big enough, bring in a chair, a throw, an ottoman, a bench for the end of the bed. Clear off the dresser.
What sort of atmosphere are you trying to set up in a primary bedroom?
Well, I think it depends on the home that I have listed. If it's a mountain home, then I try to make it look, is it rustic? Is it contemporary? And try to set it that way. If it's in the city, modern, urban, I try to stage it in a way that it fits where it's listed, if that makes sense.
It does.
And I explain that to the seller. Like Camelia said, yes, this is your home and how you live in it is one way, but now you're selling your home. And so therefore you want to put your best foot forward and it needs to be aesthetically pleasing for the potential buyers that are going to come in. And so I think that there are certain ways to stage a primary bedroom, where to place the items, flowers, whatever, plants, whatever you're going to put in there. I think that there is definitely a certain way to place those items so that when they come through the bedroom doors, it's as open and bright as possible for their first impression.
What about you, Camelia?
Well, I do think that the primary bedroom is one of the top 3 reasons a buyer will buy a home. And so I think it's a very important room. People see a primary bedroom a little bit like a retreat, parents will, or couples, whatever, even a single person. So I think it needs to have enough attention to it so that you don't miss it. You know, people don't go upstairs and go, this is kind of like a nothing room. So accentuating the features in the primary suite, I think lighting is important. To Lisa's point, dimension, where the bed is placed. A lot of times people place beds on the wrong wall just for their own personal sake, whatever. And so, and also looking for what the elephant in the room might be. I listed a home, sold a home, and when I took the listing, I told my sellers, this 3-sided fireplace that sits in the middle of your room that cuts the room in half is not going to be very appealing to most buyers. And then they said, you know what? we don't like how this room feels. We didn't, when we designed it and built it, it was kind of a mistake from the builder. And so we've lived with having our bed over here in the corner behind the door. And I said, well, this is going to be the hardest part of your whole house is amazing. This is going to be the hardest room for a buyer to accept. And so after not being able to get it under contract because of the master bedroom, we collectively agreed to have the bedroom remodeled. We removed the 3-sided fireplace, moved a door down to the primary bath, created a bed wall. That thing sold immediately. We had 3 showings and an offer, full price. It was amazing. Just remodeling and changing one element of the room. And this is like, 1.5 million. So it really was a success story. The primary suite can really kill a deal sometimes. And it depends on what price point you're looking at, but certainly you want it to be clean. You want it to feel cozy. And I think paying attention to that room is very important.
So decluttering too, probably taking CPAP machines out and things like that, right, Camelia?
Yeah, right. To Lisa's point. Yep. Most buyers, if you think about, whoever's watching this, if you can think about what it feels like to go through a model home or to go through furniture stores, when you're in those spaces, you buy that furniture because you just love how it looks and feels. You love how those models, that the builders usually have staged models. You love how that feels. It's clean, it's spacious. It's fresh. You want that feel in your primary bedroom. So creating that space where it's neutral so that the consumer can see themselves there. And I won't say everything needs to be light, like white linens and things like that. But I will say, if you think the word spa always sells. Make it feel like a spa, like you've gone to the beach or gone to the mountains, wherever that setting is. If that bedroom feels like a spa bedroom setting, then it will most likely be a very aesthetically just, you will say, I want this. I want to come home to this every night. So,
and of course,
thinking along those.
People spend a lot of time in that room. Right, Lisa?
Yep. Right. And it's one of the reasons why, I had the photographers come out when I did with the listing that I have right now in Evergreen, because the aspen leaves were changing, and she had beautiful aspen trees outside her big ginormous windows. And so people see those photos and are like, oh my gosh, or they come in, to the home and they see those trees there. I think exterior wise, if you can bring a little bit of that indoors, I think is also fun and can have a big impact.
Keeping it clean, keeping it decluttered, maybe taking some furniture out that you might have in there. I'm thinking of my bedroom right now. I have a desk in there and I've got all sorts of stuff. If I was selling, I'd take most of that out because our bedroom feels really small right now because it's small. So the primary bedroom's important to getting your home sold. So somebody like Lisa or Camelia would be great because they can walk in and go, okay, this is what you need to do. Last week we talked about land loans and what's involved in that. And this week, the next progression is to talk about a construction loan. And so we have Nancy Alexander here, our mortgage pro, to give us some advice on what's involved in doing a construction loan. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Rick.
So what is involved?
Gosh, a construction loan. First, like we were talking about last week, about buying the piece of land. So let's say you buy that piece of land, it's $300,000. Let's say you put $100,000 down, and now you want to do your construction loan on it. So what the bank or the lender will do is take that equity that you have in that land, that $100,000 in this example, and they'll push that into a construction loan. And that'll be essentially your down payment for the construction loan. The big thing about a construction loan, you guys, is that you have to have reserves because inevitably you're going to go over, right? You choose this kitchen cabinet and you want that kitchen cabinet. Right, handles, all the little things, Rick, right? And so a construction loan max, typically lenders don't want to go more than 16, 18 months.
Okay.
You can't be your own general.
Okay, so if I'm trying to build my own house, that won't work.
It really doesn't fly, and it's because of this paying yourself. Are you going to pay yourself market wages, or are your sweat equity, is it going to be, do you think it's worth more than market wages, right? And if you're your general, then are you running it the way that really an outsider would run it? So they do want a GC. They do want those subcontractors under the GC, and they want resumes on all of those people, right? It's the GC that's going to present to the lender, here's the project, here's the scope of the project, right? Here's the cost, here's the time, here's everything that's involved with it. As far as the financing goes, typically what you're going to pick up is a 5/1 ARM, right? Adjustable rate mortgage, and it's an interest-only product. Very much like your home equity product, that as the GC begins to start the project, right, you begin to start to pay. So the first invoice goes in, it's $26,000.
Okay.
Right now, you're going to owe interest only on the $26,000 that the general contractor submitted to the lender. Now, 3 months down the road, it's $56,000, it's $92,000, whatever those dollars are. But as the GC gets more and more into the project and starts turning in those invoices, right now, your bill is growing as well.
And so obviously what what's backing that loan, whether it is not only the land, but the value that the GC is creating over time. So if something goes south, the bank has something to go after, correct?
Correct. That's exactly right.
And so if you don't have a general contractor and you're saying, well, I've been building my whole life, I can build this house, they'll just look at you and go, well, that's nice. I'm glad you can do that, then use your own money.
You're absolutely right. It's a difficult thing to be your own GC unless you're literally doing your own financing, then fine, be your own GC, right? But if you're going after the bank financing, they typically want that outside GC and those subs to come in. Yeah.
Which is why a lot of times people who are first-time flippers go and take home equity loans out of their primary, because then they can do it. Okay, yeah. So if you want to do that, that's the way to do it, is to take equity out of your existing, but then you're putting that existing at risk. So you have to be careful with that. Well, that's great.
You guys sit down, Rick. It's no different than anything. It's like sit down with your banker, sit down with your mortgage lender, go through all of the steps so you can really process it as to what you're looking at. A lot of people go out and buy land with the hope and the dream, which I think is awful cool, to want to build their own place. But there's a lot to it. The first thing you start with is the infrastructure. I think we talked about that with land. Right? Do you have the septic? Do you have the electrical? Do you have the road?
Right.
Is
Driveways.
that something you would pay for? Yeah, and the construction loan. So there's, like you and I have talked, Rick, there's a lot of pieces to it.
And you want to make sure that you've thought those through, because it can turn from a dream home to a nightmare very easily.
It can. There is no question.
And a lot, and it's a number. It could be a good cause for a divorce too. So be clear-eyed about what you want to do. Well, I appreciate talking to us about this, Nancy. If you want to get a hold of Nancy, you can do so at the number on the screen, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks, Nancy. And the first home we're going to show today is in Colorado Springs at 9144 Vanderwood Road. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,228 square foot home. Camelia, tell me a little bit about this home.
Well, this home sits on the east side, northeast side of Colorado Springs. It was built in 2016. It's a not too big, not too small home. And as you can see, main level, kitchen, living room, dining room. And when you go upstairs, there's an amazing loft up there. What I like about this main level is there's a fireplace and a gigantic backyard. You can see that backyard from the living room and kitchen area. Kitchen is incredibly spacious, 2,200 square feet with 3 bedrooms. They did a really great job of making the main level spacious and that upper level spacious. So a lot of room in the kitchen. I do like that there's 2 family rooms on this main level. When you walk in the front door, you've got more of a formal room, and then you've got the family room, and then upstairs there's the loft. So to have 3 areas for play or sitting, whatever, is amazing. The primary bedroom is quite spacious. They did a great job when this home was built of laying that out. A really great primary bath, and then 2 other bedrooms, very spacious as well. And then you have a bathroom up there and a laundry room as well. The backyard, I think this is 0.16 acres. Backyard, it looks out to the east. So you have great sun that comes in, lights up the house in the morning, and then, of course, you've got that western sun in the evening. So just a great house, and yeah, I would love to show it to you.
Yeah, give Camelia a call, and she'll give you a walkthrough, private tour of it. And I appreciate you bringing us this home today. Thanks, Camelia. And Lisa has a great home for you today to see. It's for sale up in Evergreen at 3420 Box Elder. And it's 4-bedroom, 4-bath, 3,603 square feet. Lisa, tell us about this home.
Yeah, absolutely. So this home, absolutely gorgeous home, is located in Central Evergreen. So it's central to North Evergreen, South Evergreen, and our beautiful Evergreen Lake that has, year-round outdoor fun for you, paddleboarding and ice skating. And then I-70 is close for anyone who is wanting to live in the mountains but works down in the city. It's just a quick jaunt over to I-70, and you are there to be able to commute either down to the city or to the resorts. The resorts are close. And so location-wise, it's ideal. This home has a beautiful entrance here, and leads you into the open living space and the open kitchen. It has a main floor office, and it has 3 bedrooms upstairs. Primary is set off away from the other 2 bedrooms. That's the kitchen here, open and bright and great for gatherings. And you see the big, beautiful windows there, and the views, and the aspens and the spruces, really, really beautiful there. Hardwood floors throughout the main floor.
Fireplace. Looks like you have a fireplace in the family room.
The fireplace. They put new stone there, and along the bottom they have slate there now, and beautiful custom reclaimed timber there for the mantle, which is really, really beautiful.
Nice having a separate dining area.
Yep, it has a separate dining space for the family, which is super nice. Huge, tall, soaring ceilings, which is also super nice. There's the office, good size, powder room on the main floor. Here's the primary, and there are those beautiful aspen trees that I was talking about, and the big windows, and it's super spacious. Primary. The primary bath has recently been redone and remodeled. It's custom. Has its own water room there, and soaking tub, and beautiful glass shower. The closet's also recently been redone, and it's also custom in how it's laid out, and the amenities that were added to it. This is one of the other bedrooms on the upper floor, and a 3rd bedroom there on the upper floor, and a hall bathroom that's also brand new. That's really super nice. This is the lower level, separate living area. It's a walkout basement, so lots of light for you. It's not dark and feels small. The ceilings are super high, so that adds to the ambiance of the lower level. Another brand new full bath there in the lower level. This is the deck. The deck is brand new. It's a wraparound deck. You have beautiful views from there. And this is the yard. So it has a nice yard that it sits on about 1/4 acre. It also has a brand new roof and brand new solar shingles. It's also a 3-car attached garage.
This is a great home. If you want to take a look at it, please give Lisa a call. I'm sure she'd love to show it to you. Thanks for bringing it to us, Lisa. Well, this has been a great discussion today. I appreciate Lisa and Camelia being with me today. If you want to get a hold of them, here's their contact information. Feel free to call them, whether you're looking to have a listing agent, a buyer's agent, having them as somebody to help you get your home ready. They're not really stagers except when they're listing, but they have great ideas and would love to talk to you. Give them a call. And if you want to get a lot more information, we have a bunch of shows up online talking about all the great things you can do to get your home ready, to sell it, things to consider. You can check that out at theproshow.com or at your favorite podcast. And we appreciate your time today. Thanks again, Lisa. Thanks, Camelia.